China's geographical conditions are very superior, but there are 5 small shortcomings. The last one you certainly do not know. As we all know, China's vast territory, the land area is as high as 9.6 million square kilometers. Not only land and sea and a lot of topography, almost all the world's topography can be found here, but also make China become the world's most complete topography. The most diversified countries, however, it is so near perfect. However, it is such a nearly perfect geographical conditions, but there are 5 small shortcomings. The first shortcoming is that China's mountains are too much, and the plains are too little. According to relevant data show that almost 69% of China's area are highland hills and mountains. The rest is 19% of the basins, as well as 12% of the plains, which is the plateau of the main Tibetan Plateau, Inner Mongolia Plateau, Lus Plateau, and the Yingui Plateau, the largest of which is the Tibetan Plateau, an area of up to 2.5 million people, and the Yunnan-Gui Plateau. Qinghai Tibetan Plateau, an area of up to 2.5 million square kilometers, accounting for about 1/4 of China's total area, while the basin mainly has 4 major basins, respectively, the Darling Basin, Yungar Basin, Qaidam Basin, and the Sichuan Basin, which is the largest area of the Darling Basin, an area of up to more than 400,000 square kilometers. Not only that, there is China's largest desert, the Taklamakan Desert, covering an area of up to 330,000 square kilometers, which is not only China's largest desert, but also the largest desert, the Taklamakan Desert. Not only is China's largest desert, but also the world's second largest mobile desert, nearly 1,000 years, every year to about 50 meters per year to the south of the speed. We look at the 4 major basins. In addition to the rich Sichuan Basin, the rest of the desert is either boundless or the scarcity of the Gobi, plus China's large and small sands and the Gobi. The total area of more than 1.3 million square kilometers, accounting for about 13% of China's total area, and we look at China's 4 major basins. Except for the fertile Sichuan Basin, the rest are either boundless deserts or rare Gobi. 13%. And let's take a look at China's major plains, respectively, the Northeast Plain, the North China Plain, and the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River Plain, of which the Northeast Plain has the largest area of 350,000 square kilometers, followed by the North China Plain of 300,000 square kilometers, and again, the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze River Plain of 200,000 square kilometers. However, the arable land area of these plains is only 1,914,000,000 acres. And what kind of concept is this figure? To China's population of 1.4 billion as the boundary, China's arable land for the red line of 1.8 billion mu. If it is lower than this line, China's food security will be seriously threatened. We then compare the United States of America's Central Great Plains, an area of up to 1.53 million square kilometers. Not only the arable land area of 2.25 billion acres, much more than in China, and almost 60% of the fertile black land, and the United States is a 300 million people. The United States is a country of 300 million people. Imagine how rich the food. And then compare Russia, Eastern European plains up to more than 4 million square kilometers, ranked second in the world, where not only fertile land and produce is also very rich, not only so that there are 2.6 million square kilometers of the Novosibirsk plains. Such a gap between China is really cannot be compared with. The second disadvantage is the lack of large lakes in China. Said that China's lack of lakes will have a lot of people do not believe. After all, China's exquisite number of lakes is as high as more than 20,000. But in fact, the area is a little larger than a few. China's largest freshwater lake is Poyang Lake area of only 4,125 square kilometers. The maximum storage capacity of 26 billion cubic meters, compared to Russia's Lake Baikal, an area of up to 31,500 square kilometers, the deepest can reach 1637 meters. Freshwater reserves are as high as 23 trillion cubic meters, almost 800 times more than China's Poyang Lake, accounting for 20% of the world's total freshwater reserves. Even if all the lakes in China are only 780 billion cubic meters of water, accounting for only 1/30th of the Baikal Lake, as well as North America's Great Lakes. A mere pygmy compared to a giant, with a total area of 24.5 million square kilometers, and freshwater reserves of 24.5 trillion cubic meters compared to a giant. A mere pygmy compared to a giant. The Great Lakes have a total area of 245,000 square kilometers and a freshwater reserve of 22.8 trillion cubic meters, which is about the same as that of Lake Baikal. There was also a large lake in China in history, which was Lake Balkhash during the Qing dynasty, with a surface area of 182,000 square kilometers and a reserve of 115 billion cubic meters. But due to the Qing dynasty government, the Lake Balkhash was divided up. And the third disadvantage is China's lack of a large north-south oriented river, and the fact that China's topography is high in the west and low in the east. China's topography is high in the west and low in the east, resulting in China's major rivers flowing from west to east, such as China's three major rivers, all of which are oriented in an east-west direction, coupled with the climatic differences between the north and the south, resulting in the south's abundance of water resources, while water resources in the north are very scarce. Although in ancient times the Beijing-Hangzhou Grand Canal was dug with a length of 1,797 kilometers, which was only used for transporting troops and food and for part of the military operations in ancient times, although nowadays it is also a north-south oriented shipping canal in China. Is a north-south shipping channel in China, but the annual cargo transport volume of only 300 million tons, less than 1/10 of the Yangtze River, of course, cannot achieve the role of water resource allocation, but with the progress of science and technology and the development of China, China proposed the South-North Water Diversion Project, which makes the water shortage in the north to be alleviated. The fourth disadvantage is that China's northeast region lacks access to the sea. The northeast as a strategic location of China. Not only is it the most important area in China, but it is also the most important area in China. Strategic location. Not only is China's former industrial base, but also one of the world's three major black land, agricultural conditions are unique. The total grain output in 2022 was as high as 14,328,000 tons. Accounting for 21% of China's total output, however, the Northeast is faced with a serious problem, that is, the lack of access to the sea, especially Heilongjiang and Jilin. From the map we can see, Jilin is the closest to the Sea of Japan. The sea is only 15 kilometers away from the sea, but the sea is only 15 kilometers away from the sea, and the sea is the closest. Just 15 kilometers from the sea, but always still cannot go out. So if the transport of goods must first be transported by rail to the Bohai Sea, and then through the Bohai Sea and then transferred to all parts of the globe, greatly increasing the cost of transportation. Once Jilin is also have access to the sea, that is, outside the Northeast is still a part of China, an area of more than 1 million square kilometers. But due to the Qing dynasty was eventually ceded to the Tsarist Russia, resulting in the Chinese Jilin and Heilongjiang into a landlocked province, making the Northeast trade restrictions, economic development seriously lagging behind China's southern coastal areas. The fifth disadvantage is that China does not have access to the sea in the Indian Ocean, the Strait of Malacca as one of the world's busiest waterways, not only to communicate with the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean is an important place, and 80% of China's cargo transportation to go through here, where it is controlled by Singapore and the United States, affecting China's economic development, and the United States of America. Control affecting China's economic development and energy transportation. If the Indian Ocean has access to the sea, China's cargo transportation not only reduces the thousands of kilometers, but also do not need to use the Strait of Malacca. Not only that China will be close to the two oceans of the country will be in the global trade and strategic layout, has a clear advantage. Just as the reason why the U.S. is known as the God's favor country, mainly thanks to the favor of the two oceans, the same way Canada is also close to the three oceans, China is only close to a Pacific Ocean or closed. For example, the East China Sea into the Pacific Ocean is blocked by the Ryukyu Islands. The South China Sea into the Pacific Ocean is surrounded by the Southeast Asian countries. Only from the Taiwan region directly to the depths of the Pacific Ocean, which is why Taiwan is very important to China. One of the reasons. This is why Taiwan is very important to China. One of the reasons. Once the United States, in order to blockade China, put forward the first island chain strategy, from the map can be seen that the core of this strategy is Taiwan. If Taiwan returns to China, then the first island chain strategy will not work. In short, China's geographic conditions have these small shortcomings, but does not affect them in this Asian land bigger and stronger, from the invasion of modern powers to the birth of New China, from the poverty and backwardness of the New China to today's second largest economy, they have experienced from scratch, from weak to strong historical leap, but also created the New China's magnificent, earth-shaking historical chapter, since the establishment of the New China to the present day, since the establishment of New China to the present day, in a short period of more than 70 years, walked over the road of the developed countries in the West. What do you think about it? Welcome to the comment section message.